Hey guys, Backyard Scrapping here, and welcome to part 2 of our foil refine video. I wasn't going to put you guys through a lot of this filtering process, and basically what I'm doing here is just showing you something real quick. This is the filter water. I don't know if you can see all them foils in there, but this is the water that we use to clean all this off. Now there's some really fine gold particles in that, and as you can see, that is filling up that filter. The majority of what's in that filter right now is gold. Same thing here, I'm just dripping it out while we're pouring it actually from this beaker into our filter. But I've got this on the vacuum. But when you pour it, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a whole bunch of little tiny fine gold particles in this rinse water, along with the foils, even though they're settled down. So I just wanted to bring you in and show you that we are getting ready to start our refine. I save this water to rinse foils. I use it over and over and over, and then finally when it just gets too saturated, we'll put it through that process up there, which is what we're doing right now. Every time I'm out here, I fire this booger up, and right now we're still extracting water, but I would say in about another 100 milliliters we'll start pulling out some HCl. So I always, whenever I'm out here, I fire that thing up because I can be out here to keep an eye on it. But anyhow, I just wanted to bring you in on that. We're going to finish filtering off this rinse water, get it back in our jugs that I'm going to save it in. And then behind here you see that's actually the AP. That has not been filtered off yet. That's going to have some, again, fine foils like this has in it right here. And it's probably going to have some black powder gold in it. So I'm going to continue filtering. I'm not going to bore you with this because this is, like I said, a very long process. I just wanted to bring you in on it and show you what we're doing and where we're at. So when we get this all cleaned up, get our filters ready and get them dumped into a beaker with some Aqua Regia, then we'll get back at you. So we'll see you in a bit. Hey guys, I'm just popping back in for a second. I just wanted to see if I can't tell through this viewer if this is showing up the way I want it to, but this is what we're filtering off right now, and as you can see what's suspended in there, it just looks like gold glitter. So I just wanted to see if I could get a close-up of that to show you just how much is in this rinse water. So I know I said I wouldn't cut back in until we got to the Aqua Regia part, but you know how I am. I always do that. And see how this filter is actually starting to way slow down even under vacuum. It's just getting loaded up with those fine gold particles. Okay guys, here we are. That is our foils from 1 kilogram of ram fingers. That is a 1,000 milliliter beaker. So I've got a little bit of HCl in there right now. I'm going to let them sit overnight because I'm actually tired. I could do this now, but I'm starting to get wore out. My foot's really starting to hurt again. That's our filter paper from our rinse water. This is our filter paper from our AP. And then that's just an extra little bit of powder that came off of the rinse water. There is our spent kilogram of ram fingers. So probably I'm going to go in for a while, put my foot up, and then I'll come back out tomorrow and go ahead and get this refine rolling. So there's what we ended up with out of that, and I will see you guys in the morning. Well, hey everybody, it is actually the next afternoon, not the next morning. I didn't make it out here till now. I had some things I had to do. In fact, I actually need to shut this fan off for a minute because we're blowing little particles of gold everywhere. So let me get these little pieces up right quick. And I think that's the only one I see that restaurant on the plate from our filters. I went ahead and cut that filter out, put the rest of that filter in my gold paper container. What we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more HCl in here. This has a little bit of copper in it, but I'm not worried about it right now. I'm going to put about that much. We are going to put our filter papers in there. Just like that. You see we had a bunch of gold, and all that black is gold too. So we're going to just go ahead and throw all this in here. Take our rod, get all that good and wet, covered up. Let it soak for just a second, and I've got to find me a little brush. Well, this toothbrush is dry, that'll work. And brush this little bit of gold off back into there. We don't even want to lose a speck. We work too hard for that stuff. Get that little bit in there and make sure that's all cleaned off. And then we're going to start adding our nitric acid a little at a time. So you're going to take a little HCl to rinse this. I don't want to get any more water in it right now because there's already a little bit in it. Clean that off. And we're going to start dissolving our gold. And I actually may get to the drop tomorrow. I'm really having to stay off my foot. It's really giving me a fit. I actually don't even know yet. I'm going to give it one more day. And I know Redneck Metals has an auction coming up the 5th. But the way things are going, I'm not even sure yet if I'm going to be able to have, be up long enough to be doing my pours for it. So I'll know more tomorrow. It depends, but it seems like every time I'm on my foot for more than an hour, it just starts swelling up. I may end up having to go back to the doctor and see what's up. But anyhow, so we've got our pipette for our nitric acid. We're going to go ahead and cover this up. We're going to put some nitric acid in here until we start getting a reaction. And then after that, we will actually put it on some heat. Make sure we get all this dissolved. And we have, that's about 5, let's see how many milliliters we have of. Got about 150, a little less than 150 milliliters of hydrochloric acid. Actually mix that up a little bit. We're probably going to put a little bit more in there and put this fan back on. We're getting a reaction right now, so I'm just going to let that go. We may have to put a little bit more, but for now that seems to be enough, so we'll just see how that goes. And then, like I said, depending, it may be warm enough that we don't have to put it on heat, but more than likely we'll put it on, put it on a warmer up over on the little warmer area. And we'll get back at you. So I'm going to let this do its thing. We are getting some knocks right now. So we'll get back at you guys in just a bit. Okay guys, well, we have this up on the warmer. It's been up there for, I don't know, 10-15 minutes or so. It looks like most of our metal is dissolved, but we are still having a little bit of a reaction. So I am going to just drop in a little bit more nitric just to be sure. And then we will get set up to filter it off and see what we get. So we're gonna Drop in a few more drops of nitric acid because I want to be sure and get all that dissolved. Swirl this around a little bit just to be certain. And we're going to leave it up there a little bit more. I'm noticing a lot more of that black powder has dissolved. Let me actually do a manual stir of these filters. I'll make sure that they get separated out and everything on them gets dissolved. And we are just going to leave it for a little bit more, make sure, and then we're going to get ready to filter this off and do our drop. So we will be back at you guys in just a bit. Okay guys, it's been about a half an hour. Just for safety's sake, I'm still seeing a tiny reaction in there, so I'm just going to let this sit just a bit longer. I'm actually going to go let it go for a bit and go sit and prop my foot up. I know I keep whining about my foot, but it's ridiculous. So anyhow, I'll get back with you guys when we get ready to get this set up and get it filtered off, and then we'll go ahead and do our drop. So I'll be back at you guys in a bit. Okay guys, I don't see any more solids in here. We do have a lot of board material and trash, which is normal for this kind of a refine. What I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to put a slow filter paper in our, and that's distilled water I'm using, but we're going to put a slow filter paper in our filter, and we are going to get ready to start filtering this stuff off. And like I said, that's not uncommon that there's a lot of trash in there. Normally you're going to get board, you're going to get board material. There's no way around it. Just want to make sure that that filter is seated well. They say 80 millimeters, but these are just not exact. Nothing's exact. The filters aren't exact. The funnels aren't exact. So I do have it hooked up to the vacuum in case we're going to need the vacuum when we start cleaning those filters. But we're going to go ahead and get this filtered off, get it started, and then once it's filtered off, we are going to denox it, and we are going to drop our gold. See what kind of a color we're going to get out of this. You want to be really careful now at this point, because this is all gold. That little bit I even just got on the edge needs to go squirted in there. That's gold. Got a beautiful color solution. This is actually how I should be doing this. I actually need to get these guys in here, and we need to get all that stuff in here. And we are going to rinse that until it is absolutely clear and clean. Beaker looks nice and clean, and then we want to flush this, everything in here. We want to keep flushing this until there is no color left. In other words, there could be no yellow in here. You don't want any color left inside any of these filter papers that we put in there, or the filter paper that's in the bottom, or the board material, in fact, as far as that goes. So you can see we've got a really rich fluid. I'm very pleased with that. We may end up filtering it again, because I'm actually going to denox it with sulfamic acid so that I don't have to use sulfuric acid in here to take out any lead if there is any. So, and I doubt there is. Even if there is, it should be very minute. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, finish cleaning this up, keep flushing this out till we don't have any color, and then we'll get ready to drop some gold. So we'll be back at you guys in a bit. Okay, we got our filtering done. This is actually about 6 grams of sodium metabisulfite. It's probably more than I'm going to need. But I am going to just mix this up, put a little bit of distilled water in here, and I'm going to throw it on the heat, on the warmer, get that to dissolve. And while I'm doing that, I will show you a couple things that I don't normally show you. But there is our filter papers with all our crap and junk that was in there. That's our board material, and you can see that on this right here, I actually was talking about rinsing it, you know, till there's no more color. And that's the main thing you want to do. I actually fouled a little bit right there. There's a tiny bit of color there. But this will all go in the gold container anyway, and at a later date I'll burn all that stuff off and process it. So nothing's going to get lost, even if I did leave a little behind. So while that's dissolving up there, the sodium metabisulfite, what I'm going to do is add some sulfamic acid to this and denox it. We'll see if we get a little bit of white in the bottom of it. If we do, we'll filter it again, and then we'll get back at you in just a bit. Okay guys, what I've actually done is I got this denoxed. I use sulfamic acid. You can use urea. You can, you know, there's many other things you can do. Sulfamic acid means I just didn't have to add a couple drops of sulfuric acid to, you know, check for lead. So I got that done, got it transferred out of the flask into this 1,000 milliliter beaker. I have about 6 grams of sodium metabisulfite dissolved in this little beaker of water here, of distilled water, and we're going to go ahead and do our drop. So let us see what we get. Now I cleaned and cleaned and cleaned and cleaned and cleaned this beaker and cleaned it some more and cleaned it some more, because, you know, you never can get a beaker clean enough and there'll probably still be powder stuck to the side. But there we go. I'm going to keep on stirring it. Got a nice shift of color. We should have plenty, and I can already see powder sticking to the side. Oh well, such is life. I mean, I don't care how well you think you've cleaned a beaker. Seems like I never get them clean enough that no powder sticks to the side. So that's neither here nor there. It's something you got to deal with. We had a nice reaction, a nice change. We're already getting some good clumps of gold down in the bottom. Actually, one of my subscribers said it's a good idea to keep stirring this for about a minute after you've put your sodium metabisulfite in, because it clumps up the gold, and I actually tried it and found it to be true. So thank you for that piece of advice. See, that just goes to show you that you're never too old to learn. So we are gonna just let this sit for a while. I see a little bit of gold on the stick, so that will actually go into the bucket, the gold powder bucket. Off of this whole paper towel will go in there. And I'm going to cover this up and leave it sit for a while. Looks like our drop is dropping pretty fast. Appears to be a nice little pile of gold in the center there. So I'm going to let this go, let it settle out, and come back out in about an hour, hour and a half, and check it and see where we're at. So we'll get back at you guys then. Okay guys, it's been about an hour, hour and a half. This fluid is still pretty hazy. There's a very slight separation line in it. It's kind of cloudy looking. You can see there's a pretty good pile there right in the center. And we've got some stuff, you know, some fine powder still dropping out. So I'm going to let this sit overnight. I would think it would have been clearer than that, the way we had it changed, you know, the type of color change that we had. But I don't know. We'll see how it is in the morning. If it's still this color, what I'll do is I'm just going to siphon it off. I checked it with stannous. According to this test, it's, you know, there's nothing left in it. But my stannous could be shot because it's pretty old. So what I'll do is siphon it off, and I'll just hit it, you know, in the morning. I'll hit it with a little more sodium metabisulfite and just make sure that everything has dropped out of it, because we actually have some pretty good white containers behind it, and it's just a little different than I'm used to seeing. I haven't seen it where it's this cloudy. I mean, it's cloudy when the gold is dropping out, but this just looks different. So I'm going to have to check it again, and it has a very weird separation line. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call this video, because I think we're, you know, a little over 20 minutes in, maybe a bit more. So we will call this the end of part 2. Part 3, we will actually get our gold out of here, check this solution, make sure there's no more gold in it, and we will do our melt and see what we ended up with from 1 kilogram of ram fingers. And those were very close cut ram fingers. But I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it's right there, the separation line. And I expect it to be slightly green, but I didn't expect all this haze, and maybe it's just fine gold dropping out. So we'll just have to wait and see. So we'll see you guys in part 3. So everybody take care, and we'll see you in the next video.
I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.